All right, boys, we're live. Welcome, America, to the best hour of your day, assuming, of course, that your day is mediocre at best. It's the Eric Rodney Show with Robin with a very special guest, Rick Fazio. Fazio?
Yes,
Fazio, Rick Fazio.
Knew I was going to have that up. Rodney, you two are friends. You want to do a little quick intro?
Yeah, so Rick actually invented PO. No, I'm joking. Rick's been doing PO for years. He's a legend. So I've been working with him for years now. We wanted to have him on and chop it up about PO, and it's kind of a secret where he's working now, running, and so we wanted to kind of tell everybody no.
He's subtle about his employment, which is what I like.
He's very bashful. He doesn't like to say much.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't like to repeat the same word over and over again.
That makes sense.
One thing I find interesting about Rick, and hopefully he'll tell us a little bit about it, is that, and again, I'm a little bit of a nerd, but some of the biggest POs in our industry, publicly traded POs, and I'll let Rick tell you who they are in the Rick portion of the show, Rick helped build.
Oh.
So, and I don't mean like build like, he was in, up at the ivory tower. I mean, like he built the cells, like he built the entire thing. I'll let him tell the story, but I just want to, like, I find that fascinating. But again, I'm a nerd, so that might be why.
He's a man of the PEO people, is what you're saying.
A man of the PEO people. That's
yes.
Right.
Well, I would say this: without Rick, we might not have some of the PEOs that we have. I mean, I would say that would be a fair statement.
I think I just grew 6 inches. Thank you for that.
I mean, it's true. Am I lying? Did I lie?
Well, it's a team effort, right?
That's a nice answer.
That's Midwest politically correct.
I was going to say it's very flyover state of you.
Right.
That's not an Eric Ryan answer.
No, fuck that.
This is not my first time on the radio.
When you said I just grew with 6 inches, I wanted you to pan the camera down. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
Yeah. Next time.
That'd be a good day.
Good morning. All right. Before we get into the Rick portion of the show, the man of the PEO people, we have to cover the news because America demands our opinions on such things.
That's right.
So, air traffic controller Robin, what is in the news?
That's right. Well, we're starting off with what's going on in Florida, guys. Apparently, Miami, again, is experiencing its first population loss in ages. And unfortunately, it's a trend that's going to keep happening because there's just too many infrastructure problems. So, like, we have the city planners and the local governments, they're just not putting enough thinking into, like, where does the garbage and the sewage go. So I thought that was actually only a problem in the Philippines, but apparently it happens in Florida as well. They're just not adjusting to the population increase. It's sad.
Are you referring to Mount Trashmore, which is 130 feet high? Are you familiar with Miami's latest tourist attraction? This is very nice.
Oh my gosh, is that real?
That's real. That's Mount Trashmore.
Eric, this is fake news. This is Staten Island.
It's beautiful.
This is New Jersey. This is New Jersey.
This is one of those stories that makes me sad for Robin because I think coming to the show, he had a certain perception of the United States, and now he has to deal with
That's true.
listening to our news every day. Look at this shit. It's not like Miami is in the middle of the country. This is one of our premier destination cities, and it has 130 feet worth of trash.
What is causing that? What's the deal with that?
Well, it's overpopulation. Here's the other problem they talked about in Miami, despite being a major metropolitan city in the United States, is full of septic systems. So they're not connected to sewage. So they said in the article that sometimes when it rains very heavily, communities turn into toxic swamps. So you're just swimming in human feces. Right. And this is in the United States. I know. Here's my larger issue. We do a lot of stories like there's too many people, but then there's like not enough people. This seems to me like a too many people problem. Does it not?
I would say so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's my other issue. The infrastructure budget this year, $1.25 trillion. Can we spend a little bit of that to get Miami on a sewage system? Don't you think?
That's a lot of money.
Can't they just dig a little bit deeper with all the trash? I mean, it's a landfill. They just dig holes, right? Or am I?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm no trash doctor, but I would say that humans have been around for 300,000 years at this point. Can we figure out this fucking problem? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
they just burn it?
Oh, how pertinent is the question? So they are spending $1 billion on an incinerator, which seems like yeah. But why didn't you do that 10 years ago? You wouldn't have a mountain.
Where you have $1 trillion, you could literally buy like 100 of them, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how many billions goes into trillion, but I think at least one. So I think they could probably buy a few.
The other thing is that I'm just curious. You said the infrastructure is failing. Was that what I was hearing?
Yeah, it seems to be a common.
That's impossible because New York City has not been replaced since the 1800s, and everything's working perfectly here.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly.
I mean, there's literally water coming out of the subway. We don't even know where the water's coming from.
No, but yesterday we figured out that you can make beer out of shit water. So Miami, are you aware of this? This is Robin. This is what I'm saying, man. Our scientists are trying to figure out how to make beer out of shit water. How about you figure out how to get rid of our fucking trash? Can we
you can make anything look good with a filter.
Yeah.
I have a filter on now, actually.
Paid for by Employco USA.
Yeah.
No, he's got to. Yeah, you can't just. I think if you dig too deep, don't you hit water? Don't we drink that fucking water? Can't somebody figure this problem out? We've been
okay. Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
I got to be honest. I already figured it out. It's called burning it. Fire.
But is that bad for the ozone or some shit? Remember that was an issue.
Yeah, but then you have to buy like a shit ton of carbon credits.
Oh, carbon.
Wait till the Canadian wildfire smoke comes your way, like it is in Chicago every couple.
Then it'll just incinerate Mount Trashmore.
Burn it at that time.
Okay, well that's an option.
You know what? Then maybe we just light it on fire, start driving down the road, and then drop it off in Canada. Tell Trudeau send the bill.
If the Canadian wildfires reach Florida, I think we have bigger issues than the giant pile.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm no geography doctor, but that's fucking far away.
I'm no map doctor.
Yeah. That was a funnier line. I should have said that. Robin, do you have giant piles of trash in the Philippines, or have you figured your shit out?
He's sitting on one.
No. We definitely don't have to figure it out. And one thing when I was growing up, my mom was like very adamant of me and my brother not playing in the rain because I was just like, Mom, it's just water. But then as I grew up, I realized it's not just water. It's like, everyone's trash that evaporates and like the clouds brings it down again, and then you get sick because there's just so much human waste in this water.
The clouds don't clean it like a Brita water filter? I thought once it goes in the sky.
Unfortunately not.
No? Oh, fuck. You learn something new every day.
Right. That's why there's this phenomenon called like orange rain.
Orange rain? You have orange rain over there?
Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you guys been to Miami?
Yes. Many times.
It's chocked full of gorgeous women. If there's ever a city we need to preserve, I would put that up. Don't you think? I mean, everyone is gorgeous in Miami. This is the city that's covered in shit and trash. Can we preserve one thing?
It's a national tradition.
Take the money away from Dayton or something. I don't fucking know. We gotta save Miami.
Have you been to Dayton? Not a good situation.
Not nearly the population of attractive females. Sorry, this is ruining our ratings in Dayton.
Well, the other thing too is Miami's become a hotspot for tech startups.
Has it?
Because they're all leaving San Francisco because everybody's doing crack in San Francisco.
Right. I was a little surprised to hear that the population's going down in Miami. That is, with everybody going down there the last.
Yeah, like when I was on vacation, I met a guy, a lawyer, and he said that he had just quit his law firm, and that his wife, I think it was, had just quit her job, and they were moving to Miami. And I said, "What are you going to do there?" And he goes, "I'm going to do law." Oddly enough. So, and I said, "What for? What?" He said, "For startups." All of his buddies were down there.
Is there a lot of crypto down there? Crypto?
Yeah, a ton of it.
And all that?
Is crypto still a thing after they invented?
Wait, where was that weirdo at? Sam Bankman-Fried. Where was he at? Was he in Florida?
He was in the Bahamas.
Yeah, in the Bahamas. Well, that's Florida, right? Isn't that like
pretty much? It's an extension.
Yeah. Shit on Mount Trashmore. All right. Well, listen. I think we shit on Miami enough. Get it?
No, we like Miami.
Forgive me, Miami.
I do hate the Heat, though. I hate the Miami Heat. As a Celtics fan, they can go fuck themselves. What do you got next there, Robin?
So we actually covered.
Sorry, Robin was landing the plane.
Robin's
You're clear for landing. You're clear for landing.
I'm sorry. Has the show gone on too long? You lost interest. You have something else to do?
He's asleep.
I do. Okay, so we covered WeChat a couple times before, and it's essentially like China's app for everything: social media, banking, shopping, and whatnot.
You mean
so
X?
China's spy agency. Yeah, it's Chinese X. So they've made a a social media account, China's spy agency, and they're calling all the Chinese citizens to snitch on any other citizen who's providing information about China to other governments. So they're not even hiding. In fact, they're even announcing that you'll be handsomely rewarded and deemed a patriot of China. So like the reward is $15,000 if you snitch on someone who is endangering national security. Eric, how much would you have to be paid to tip off your friend?
I would turn all 3 of you in for like $20.
A hot pocket.
$20 worth of hot pockets. They're all going to Chinese jail, Robin. Here's the thing I don't understand, and this is a classic case of it's just a shitty article because it was like, yeah, spy. What information are they, so foreigners are bad, they're spying on the Chinese government. For what purpose? What are we stealing? So I'm an American, I go over there, I'm spying. What am I going to tell the government? What can I as a private citizen do to, disrupt the Chinese system? Do you know?
Wouldn't you like to log in and just say Xi Jinping was giving some emails out? Like this, something similar happened. I used to live in a townhouse community, and something similar to this happened, and they had to shut it down because of myself and others. And it was in Wisconsin. It was someone drove through, someone drove by my house and was doing 1 mile over the speed limit. Can you have them arrested? Right?
Yeah, so this is this is some North Korea shit. This is what they do over there, where if you don't like somebody, you just go, hey, listen, they're a foreign spy, and then you're in prison for 50 years.
Absolutely.
China seems to be going that way more than don't you want to come? Not that I just don't think spying in the United States is a thing. Like we don't. I'm not saying it's not a thing. I'm just saying that the general public isn't worried about it, and now the Chinese government is alerting every citizen to turn.
I got to be honest with you though. I don't think that. I think we're too busy with TikTok and LinkedIn and PO and all the other various activities that we're all, manipulate our lives. Like I was just thinking about it when you were saying, I don't even have a free hour to do any spying.
Well, this right.
They would have to pay me to do the spying.
I know.
Yeah.
But they're super obsessed with it because in 2016, they put out a 16-panel comic strip. The Chinese government did warning Chinese citizens against dating foreigners because obviously they're spies. Once again, this is like some Cold War era shit, like spying. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even know how to do that crime.
That's what I mean. Like, where would I get the information from?
I don't know. No, Jesus Christ.
And here's another question I have: do all citizens of China, old and young, read comic strips? Because if I'm going to be honest with you, there's 2 places you can put something.
Right.
Where I will never see it is in a comic strip or a Facebook invite. I see a comic strip. I'll ask for children. Take care. And especially if it's in a foreign language, God bless. I'm like, there's somebody left something behind. Take care.
Honestly, that's a good point. Speaking of Cold War era shit, when they use cartoons all the time, in 2016, you're still using a fucking cartoon? Like, what is going on?
Like as soon as I saw this, I'd be like, oh, this is like a little kid, little girl, some kind of comic stuff. I'm not interested.
No, the general.
I may be the oldest one in the room here today, but I remember when I was a little kid in the United States, they had the United States had a part of the government where they were ferreting out communist sympathizers.
Right.
Y'all remember that?
Was this during McCarthyism? How old are you?
Well, Rick, I'm only 24, so I wouldn't know.
You remember that? I remember being a kid seeing that on the news. Yeah.
I think every few years.
How much would you get for every
communist? Oh no, I don't think they paid anybody.
No, in America we do things for free. They wouldn't bother paying us.
Right.
No. Okay. And if we did get paid, we'd have to pay taxes on it. So why bother?
Yeah,
50%. Just do it for free. Yeah.
That's a real shitty precedent. 15 grand's a lot of money. That's enough. That's incentive for me to turn my mother in. I don't give a fuck. 15 grand.
But this is my point, right? Wouldn't you be like, listen, I've got $1 billion idea. We're going to turn in. Everybody's going to turn everybody in.
Right. Like, don't you think if you were running for political office, you'd accuse your opponent of being a foreign?
Like I would be like, Vladimir Putin has been spied. Right. Yeah. Everyone has. I mean, it would never end.
I'd have to open up a corporation and see if we could run all the money through there.
Maybe that's what we do. We move to China and start accusing people of spying on the Chinese government. Bada bing, bada boom, we're rich.
All we need is the email address, and we can just start sending it.
If only we had a place to get email addresses.
We don't plug in our shit as often as we should.
We don't monetize anything about this show. I think we decided we were.
We're anti-money. We hate it. We hate money. We don't want any money.
Profit,
right?
But listen, if you do have money, you know where a great place to spend it is? Employco USA. do you think about that?
I've never heard of them. Where are they?
They're in the lower right-hand corner. They're gigantic. So Robin, China is your big bad guy, right?
Yep.
Is this on brand? Like, do you go, fucking Chinese at it again? Is this concerning for you because they're your neighbor?
Yeah, concerning in a way, but I mean, we kind of have the same similarities here in the Philippines as well. So like, our last president implemented this law where like police officers and even like the general public can have their own way at people who are doing drugs. So like, it was called extrajudicial killing, and like it's like anyone could just plant drugs on anyone and just like kill them because they had drugs on them. So like it's a kind of similar analogy there.
So let me ask you a question. So you're saying drugs are illegal in the Philippines, or they're legal?
Well, yeah.
Because I was recently away in Portugal, and I asked a gentleman about drugs, and then he proceeded to offer to buy me some.
That's true.
Or just sell me some.
Wow.
So I said, he said, "Oh, it's free." Or it's not free. It's you know, you can use it freely. They're legal.
I guess we have. I don't know. Let's just say I'm accusing Rodney of being a spy. Do I report you at the federal level? Who's going to arrest you? Do I call the sheriff?
Well, here's the thing, right? We both have to report each other at the same time. So then now instead of 15K, we have 30.
Not 30K.
30K. Right.
And then we can use that money to bail each other out, and then we're fine.
That's right. Then we're fine. And then we can call it. And then we can
spend it.
Then we can call once we have the officers' names. Then we can call and say the officers are doing it.
Right.
And then they told us, right?
If the bail is less than 15 grand, we're net profit, right? So let's just
Yeah. We've got a new idea.
A new business idea. Robin's a spy, and every time you get out, fucking accuse you again.
He's back in.
I don't know if you've ever seen what like a Filipino jail looks like, but they describe it as like a can of sardines.
Yeah.
You
Right.
don't
Is
even
it
have
worse?
space to lie down.
Is it worse?
Yeah,
is it worse than Ruth's house on 90 Day Fiance?
That's
The wood rat. and the
I'd
showering
rather
with
stay
father.
Like
I'd
Hoarders.
rather stay there.
TV show
Honestly,
Hoarders.
yes.
in Filipino
Yeah.
prisons. You have to shower with your father-in-law. That is a punishment worth. I would argue.
Yeah.
I was conceived in a Filipino prison. I don't know if I've ever told you that. That's where my parents met.
Interesting.
All right, what do we got
That on
next?
a need-to-know basis.
Now the world knows.
Everyone needs to know this.
It's just between us four, actually.
It's very romantic, Filipino prisons.
This is between us and our two listeners.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? Oh, I like this next story because once again, I don't understand it.
Well, okay, so this next article is quite harsh, and we have to walk on thin ice.
Bless you.
So there's like, there's no question to there's like a large increase of Muslim immigrants and a growing population in Western Europe, particularly Scandinavian countries. So countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and it comes with several problems because you take a minority that can potentially become very radical, and they're also the only racial group in Scandinavia that has like a vastly increasing population growth. So it's not uncommon for these minority groups to cause some trouble sometimes. And now the native population is pushing back, especially the people who are like white supremacists, and they're going so far as to burn Korans.
These are the Swedish people?
Denmark and Sweden. So the
Got it.
Scandinavians are
Okay.
losing their shit.
Scandinavians, got it.
Once again, I don't want to brag, but this is not shit that atheists do. Like no one, you know what I mean? You never see a group of atheists burning other people's shit because we don't care. And what are you going to burn of ours? A copy of like Hustler Forum? Like, we don't give it. Like there's nothing with atheists, and this is why we're the best kind of people. Second of all, burning a Quran doesn't do anything. You're just being a dick, right? Like I'm all for protests. I think it's baked into the American ideal. Not that this is in America, but burning a Quran is that's some real like dickish shit. You're just trying to piss people off. You're not trying to get anywhere.
This is the kind of shit that inspires radicalism is the problem.
Yeah.
So they're
Feeds it.
just poking it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know what to think because so I did some research. Again, this is a fucking article that doesn't really say anything. I don't know. Okay, so they don't like Muslims. Why? Like there's going to be To your point, is it the radical Muslims that they are having a problem with? Is that even a problem? Do they just don't like brown people in their countries? Like, there's not a lot of information here, but I did see that there was one protest where someone in Sweden, an Iraqi guy, got permission from the government to protest. He burned a Quran, and there were 2 people there. So it's like, is it 2 people and you're making a fucking news story about it? Or is it a whole lot of people? It's hard to wrap your head around. I will say this, though. Once you start burning Qurans, you're never going to – there's counter protests. This is in Iraq, outside the embassy. It's incendiary, and you're not getting anything done.
Are those the gay flags?
Yeah, I think they are.
I'm sorry, that was a poorly timed laugh. I did not expect that.
Right. So it's none of us. The Swedish and the Denmarkians, they burn Qurans in Iraq. They start burning gay flags. I don't know. It's fucking why is burning?
But here's my question. Hold on, this is in Iraq, right? Because I'm like, if this is in Sweden, I think they've taken over. I mean, the guy's pictures over there.
This is in Iraq.
It's like there's a mosque in the back. I think Sweden, you're done. Get out.
Yeah, if this is Sweden, they lost the war. Like,
you lost. Everyone's in black. At first, I thought it was New York City, but then I was like, no.
Yeah, I will say
the color in the picture. If everyone was wearing black, it's New York City. But
yeah, that's right.
Typically, the American far right, you consider, pretty fucking far out there. But even our far right don't do Quran burnings. So that's, you know what I mean? Like, we're not quite there yet. We'll shoot up a school, don't get me wrong, but like, we're not going to burn Quran.
Do you think that could be because they don't know how to pronounce it?
Quran?
I need to get that book. What's it called?
How do you spell it? I have no idea.
What's it called?
They're on Amazon trying to order one, but they don't know how to spell it.
You know what? Now, it just occurred to me. Maybe that's how QAnon came.
Oh,
they didn't know how to spell Quran.
Yeah, and they just settled down.
And here they are.
Oh, I don't know. Only religion will get you so worked up that you're going to burn something else to piss somebody off. It just doesn't happen in this. Like, I fucking hate the New York Jets, but I'm not going to go burn a jersey and get all worked up about it because I'm reasonable.
Now, soccer in Europe, that's a different story. They will burn.
Yeah, they're mental too. I know.
Yeah.
You just pump the brakes on.
Actually, I saw something on TV yesterday where they don't let children or anyone wear soccer jerseys at bars in Europe due to the fact that it'll start fights.
This makes me feel better about the United States because oftentimes we think we're the craziest motherfuckers on the planet, but then you can't go to a soccer game without the threat of being murdered. Yeah. By the way, soccer is unbelievably boring. Maybe if they watched the sport that was entertaining, they'd stop killing each other in the stands. Bring American football over there. Watch the murder rate go down.
No, you know what I was also thinking is a good idea, $1 billion idea, is that we create a show during the soccer match to entertain people.
They should just show
something scoring happens.
A show within a show.
Yeah,
that's right. Picture.
Put Seinfeld on the jumbotron. People will calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Watching a bowling game for 3 hours is aggravating enough to murder somebody. Obviously. Yeah. Robin, do you like soccer?
Yeah, I kind of do, to be honest. And I'm gonna get hate for it because I'm on an American show, but I do. Just golf football, by the way. Yes.
We don't hate soccer here. Yeah, as another thing I didn't know, right? And this is so bizarre. There's a guy named Lionel Messi. I think he's pretty good. He plays over here. I didn't even know we had a team.
Isn't he in Miami?
Yeah, I didn't even know we had a team. Apparently, we have a team in Miami, and I thought David Beckham was playing. Apparently, he owns the team.
Yeah. David Beckham owns the Miami team?
Well, I think he's like 60 years old now or something. He doesn't play anymore. I thought he was still playing for Manchester or somebody. Who knows? And Cristiano Ronaldo now, I think, plays for Saudi Arabia or some country. Some other way. Did he leave somewhere?
They pay well over there.
Follow the money.
He's making enough money this year, I think, to buy all of the baseball teams in America.
Probably.
Speaking of monetization, I think our goal with this show is to be acquired by the Saudis.
Yeah. If MBS is watching,
start playing the pro golf tour, and you'll have a better.
That's a Seinfeld joke. What's the deal with soccer?
don't you think? That's funny. Don't you think that what's his name? Rory McIlroy was kind of an idiot. He was like so opposed to LIV, and then they bought the PGA or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
A lot of
he's the only one. Him and Tiger's the only ones that didn't get paid, and people are like, "Well, Tiger can't get paid."
Yeah.
Tiger's worth at this point, Tiger can't even kill himself.
Take the.
I mean, he's worth so much money. Yeah, just you want me to play? If somebody came to me tomorrow, if the Saudi family said, "Rod, we found you on the computer. We've seen your pickleballing.
Right.
We want you to go and do some pickleballing. $700 billion a year.
Yeah.
Back of shit. I'm gonna be like, it's now called the Eric and Rodney Show, live from Iraq.
Right. Saudi Arabia.
I hear
wherever the hell we're
pickleball is
at.
going to be an Olympic sport now.
What is pickleball?
Watch for me.
Pickleball is going to be an Olympic sport. I heard.
Yeah.
The Olympics have lost all credibility.
Yeah.
Rodney, you go to the Olympics.
I hope so.
I think to clear your conscience, if the Saudis come to you with a bunch of money, you just go, hey, listen, can you stop with the human rights violations? They go, absolutely not. You're like, all right, I tried. And then you take their money. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to stop anyway, whether they write you a check or not. So who the fuck cares? Take the money, baby. Capitalism. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
We only have 5 minutes before we get to the Rick portion. So you want to blast past these other ones?
Yeah. Okay. Let's skip the military and recruitment one.
Get to the good one.
Okay. The greatest one. When I read this, I was surprised to know. Wait. So this is the good one. I'm not sure if this is the good one for you guys, but anyways. So when I read this, I was surprised to know that it wasn't actually from Fox. It was actually.
Oh, this one. I thought you were doing Lizzo. Hold on.
This is Lizzo. Wait. No. Wait. It's not. It's from BBC, and they're talking about Lizzo.
From the BBC.
Yeah. So the headline is Lizzo is accused of sexual harassment and fat shaming of multiple occasions towards her former dances. So I didn't know that Lizzo and fat shaming in the same sentence.
Wait, she's accused her dancers of fat shaming her?
Not okay.
No.
Wrap your head around this.
I'm so confused.
No, Lizzo, the woman in the middle here, is accused of fat shaming and being. It sounds like being racist. Now,
she's fat shaming other people.
Yes. Dancers. I heard it on the radio this morning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you think racist? Okay, she's black. No, they're accusing her of being racist against black people, which is I don't know, man. If you're fat and black, can you be racist and sexist? I don't know. As a white male, I'm going to defer opinions on this story so I don't get canceled.
Hold on, so I understand. I gotta ask. So I'm just so confused. Okay, so let's back up. Lizzo is being accused of being racist to other black people, and she's been fat shaming other people.
From what I understand, the black dancers were treated differently on tour than other members of the crew. And yes, there was also fat shaming involved. So I watched a clip on this story because I do my research. Evidently, Lizzo has a reality show as well. It's on Amazon or some shit, Amazon Prime. I don't fucking know.
I know idea.
Two of the dancers were on there. One of the dancers said that when they were overseas and on a tour, Lizzo made her touch a dancer's breast. I think they went to a strip club, and Lizzo pressured one of her dancers to grab a stripper's boob, from what I understand. This dancer then went on this news show and said if this was a corporate job, under no circumstance would this be okay. There'd be a million HR violations. Right. My point is that it's not a corporate job. If my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bicycle. But you're not. This is rock and roll, man, or hip hop, or the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a corporate job. If you're a dancer, yes, anyone can be racist. Well, believe me, I'm wildly racist. But if you're a dancer on a hip hop tour, that's not a corporate job. You have to grab some strippers' boobs, right? That's just kind of fucking what you do.
Wait till Tommy Lee sues for all the abuse he had to endure during his time in Motley Crue in the strip clubs. Tommy Lee. About all the times he was violated.
Right. Can you imagine? Yes, exactly. Aerosmith going to HR with violations. Stop it. I mean,
some woman objectified me. No, but here's what I'll say about the whole thing. Right? This is very shocking for me to hear. The most shocking thing I had heard about Lizzo was when Kanye was on Tucker Carlson. You may have heard of him, and he said that him and Lizzo shared the same trainer. That blew me away.
Maybe she's just training.
I didn't know that either one of them had ever worked out. No.
Those are two. What is this? What is this trainer doing?
What is he doing? Next time, sit around and talk about your feelings or eat them.
Next time, I want the script in advance of the show.
That's the problem, Rick. There's no script. If there was, it'd be a lot better.
Rick, we fired the writers.
Yeah, obviously.
They're on strike.
We're on strike.
After this, I'm going to have to play cleanup on aisle 10.
Yeah. Listen, I warned you in the green room. I don't think Koran burnings, racism, what we touch on. Everything that's typically on LinkedIn, I think.
There you go.
That's right.
I don't always want to defer to Robin, but as the youngest among us, are you a Lizzo fan? Because again, I don't.
I like Lizzo's music. I think she's talented. I do as a person. I do.
Very talented.
Got good songs. She's very talented.
I listened to one song before this because I'm just out. I don't anything that's new. I've reached that age.
Was it Bad Bitch O'Clock?
No, it was not. It was tough.
That's a good one.
Tough.
It's
tough.
It's another one of those situations like separating the art from the artist. It's tough for me to do when it's like people like Lizzo and Kanye. So,
well, what do we not like about Lizzo? I don't understand. I guess she played.
Yeah, I don't dislike her
or some shit.
just
Everybody
couldn't
lost their
believe
mind.
she has a trainer.
Why don't we like Lizzo? What do I have to separate her art and the artistry for?
Yeah, and why don't you like Kanye?
Oh, wait, I feel like it's easier to. Yeah,
I'm joking.
no,
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Come on here.
And we'll be right back with a 30-second commercial break.
No, Robin, I want to know why you hate Lizzo. What has she done? I really don't understand. I don't know if there's a compelling case. Why don't we like her?
Yeah. But it just gives me like that idea that she's abusing people that are actually trying to further her career. So like kind of like the Ellen DeGeneres situation. She just looks at her dancers as like pawns.
Well, you gotta tell Jennifer because she obviously likes Lizzo. All right, I'm gonna do a Lizzo deep dive after this episode, and I'm gonna form some opinions.
Can I just tell you one thing about Lizzo that may be unknown is that she plays the flute.
She plays Benjamin Franklin's flute.
But she plays it, and she plays it very well. Yeah. We also know someone else who plays the flute, an electric flute.
I'm a huge fan of his. Here's the thing about separating the art from the artist. I understand when it's Michael Jackson. You go, well, listen, he molested a lot of kids, but goddamn, is Thriller a great album? Or like R. Kelly, who like pisses on 14-year-olds' faces. Like that's bad. Lizzo, okay, I'm all for it, but what did she do where I have to separate her from her art? She's mean to people. If I was famous, I'd be mean to fucking everyone. I'm mean to people now.
We're mean to people now. We're not even famous.
Exactly.
Yeah, serious.
I don't understand.
I need to stop now.
I feel like every artist, when they start getting famous and a ton of money, they go through this change curve. Maybe
Absolutely.
She's going through that as well.
The only one that's never done it is Tom Hanks. From what I understand, he's been a delight his entire life. But everybody else is a giant dick. Look, Mel Gibson turned into an anti-Semite when he got money. Like crazy shit happens.
He did? I was not aware.
Yeah, he did.
You don't know.
You haven't seen any Lethal Weapon 5s or 10s or 6s, have you? I got to tell you though, I will say this, right? We can move on after this. But the best ever, in my opinion, Lethal Weapon was the one with Chris Rock was the son-in-law. He was hysterical.
He was hysterical.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
He was hysterical. Where he was Danny Glover's son-in-law. I don't remember their names, but he was going to marry his daughter. He was incredible because he was a detective. He was good.
I never saw this. Chris Rock plays someone.
Danny Glover's son-in-law or soon-to-be son-in-law in whatever the last one was. I think it's 4. Wow. Did you know there was like 2 or 3? Before Mel Gibson went crazy, it was going to be like Fast and the Furious.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, I fucking worship Chris Rock, and I've never seen this.
Chris Rock was hysterical.
All right, I'm gonna take a note here.
It's a very good.
Which Lethal Weapon is this? Lethal Weapon 5.
Lethal Weapon 4.
4.
They didn't get to 5 because Mel started. I think that's when he went off the deep end.
You should check out Chris Rock's latest HBO special. It's pretty good.
Chris Rock is fantastic.
Chris Rock is a national treasure.
He is a national treasure. Yes, he
is.
The new Mount Rushmore. Whenever we get around to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen. We covered the news. Do we want to go to the Rick portion? We getting into the PE segment.
This will be the PC portion.
Well, we're gonna work.
Rick, made it.
I made it through.
While you tell us about PEO, I'm going to burn a Quran just to so.
Don't mind the smoke. Yeah. So, Rick, tell us a little bit about yourself before you get into it. I want you to. We're going to ask you some questions. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I started in PEO in 1997, back when the industry was super unknown and still in its formation stage.
It was still employee leasing, right?
It was still employee leasing. The biggest company was staff leasing, actually, in Florida. They were the largest company. And then there was a company called VinCam that ended up, ADP bought them, and that's how they got into the PEO business. They relabeled it ADP Total Source. But I started with Administaff at the time. They've now rebranded and call themselves Insperity today. And when I started there, they were 13,000 worksite employees. And then 7 or 8 years later, they were public on the New York Stock Exchange. And then when I left, we grew it to 125,000 worksite employees. So it was a 7-year super growth period for that company. And it was a great time to be there.
Do you think you could have that kind of success with the Eric and Rodney show with Robin?
I certainly can, but I'd have to work the scripts before you guys. I'd have to police it.
Whatever it takes.
You know what the premise of this show, Rick, is? It's not about. It's not like Seinfeld, where it's not a show about nothing. It's a show where there's no script.
Right.
That's you know what? Forget about firing the writers. There are no writers.
There are no
Can I
writers.
say something really quick, because it always amazes me that I'm the only person in the world that know this. I thought, right, when people were like, Dave Chappelle's show is so funny, I'm like, Dave Chappelle is a god. I do think Dave Chappelle's a national treasure, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But I thought he came up with all the skits. They said, no, he doesn't come up with all the skits. He doesn't do half the stuff. I said, what's the $200 million for?
Yeah.
If you gave me $200 million, I will come up with so many characters.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Full
They'll
staff,
think I'm
everything.
Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? They don't know. Who knows? What do you want to see? I'll do it.
This is why I think what we're doing here makes a lot of sense, because if we just do one season, we can coast the rest of our lives. Like when the whole Rick and Morty thing blew up, when the co-creator was accused of all that shit, I started reading these articles, and it goes, well, the two creators haven't written on a season since season 1. So it's like all you have to do is write one season, then you hire writers, and you just go off and
Go to the Bahamas.
We just got to find another Eric and another Rodney, and I mean, we're history.
Right. I can't wait.
What about another Robin? Or am I?
No, you're stuck.
You're still here.
Okay.
You're still here.
You're stuck.
You're stuck.
So, Rick, let me ask you this. Obviously, you were at the ground stage of an industry that has, obviously grown by leaps and bounds. I mean, I don't have the math on it. I should, but I know there's at least 5 or 6 publicly traded POs at this point, right?
Yeah.
Maybe more to come. I know JustWorks has been working on going public. What's that like, man? Because I've never been on the ground. I started out in PO in 2010, 2009, 2010. But by the time I was there was always Jevity, and there was all these companies. Yeah, sorry.
It's a major culture change. When you're privately held, you could pretty much control the culture, the growth, everything that you're doing in the business. The minute you go public, you're working towards a number, and everybody's getting behind that number, and they're driving to hit those quarterly results. So it does switch a little bit, not in a bad way, but everybody's super focused, super running 100 miles an hour, drinking from a fire hose, trying to make sure we hit that quarterly number. So it's a little bit different from that perspective. You lose a little bit of the family feel, but I can honestly say Insperity did a good job of keeping that. They were able to keep the family.
I worked at Insperity for a very small fraction of time. It was a Ministef at the time. They hadn't rebranded, and they had. I agree with you on that. I mean, by the time I was there, they were public. They were a behemoth, but they did have that family feel. Yeah, everything was very it seemed small, but it wasn't, right? I guess that's best.
Yeah. It was almost like a small town folksy feel to it.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you realize
they pulled it off.
You're a behemoth. Now I know you've obviously built some other POs, so tell us more.
Yeah. After that, I went to Jevity. They had a Chicago office. They asked me to come in and turn that around. And in that first year that I accepted that position, TriNet bought them. So then I was acquired by TriNet. And then I opened up, I ended up opening up the Atlanta office, or rebranding the Atlanta office from a Jevity office to TriNet. And you know that Jevity was a workers' comp play.
That's right.
And a blue collar sale, whereas TriNet is a white collar technology sale. So that acquisition was a huge culture change. We had to bring in professionals from outside the organization to coach all the employees and the entire leadership team through merging these two very different cultures together. And not everybody made it. Some people couldn't make the leap. And others did.
I know that was huge. Speaking from a PO side, when I first got into this business, you had Administaf, who was obviously a monster. And then you had Jevity. And Jevity was, I was in New York City at the time, but Jevity was everywhere. And I remember how I got into the business. I was working at a startup, and they used TriNet. And I remember meeting with the TriNet people. And, when I was looking at PO. And I just remember thinking, I think I had an interview with them, and the lady was like, "Have you ever heard of us?" And I was like, "No, I know one of my friends uses you guys." I was like, "But I had never heard of you," because Jevity was everywhere. And I
That's
felt
right.
like when
And Trinet was
and
very
Jevity
little.
merged, yeah, like when they merged, because if I'm not mistaken, Jevity was publicly traded, right?
Jevity was public on the New York NASDAQ stock
NASDAQ.
exchange. And then Trinet was a little unknown entity in Northern California with less than 40,000 worksite employees. Primarily, almost 100% of their business was in California. So no one ever really heard of them. So
I
the
had never
small
heard of
guy
them.
bought the big guy. So
Right.
Trinet was super small. They paid I want to say 101 million for Jevity, and the workers' comp tail was 120 million. So they actually made a tiny little profit when they acquired it.
Yeah, I remember that was like one of the biggest things. It's funny. I actually, at the time, I had left Administaff, and I was thinking about going to Jevity, and I had interviewed with Jevity, and I was interviewing with Trinet, and I got a call 2 days before I was supposed to go to Trinet, and the recruiter said, "Listen, this isn't public yet, but we're about to buy another company." They didn't tell me who, so we're going to hold off on interviewing you until next week, or whatever. And then like 2 days later, they announced that Trinet had bought Jevity, and I was like, "Wow!" Because like you said, Trinet. Nothing against Trinet, like they were both wonderful organizations, but Trinet was small. I thought Jevity had bought Trinet, but then they were like, no, Trinet has bought Jevity. And I was like, wow. I got to say, though, that was an amazing name, Jevity. Like
it was.
Longevity. It was incredible, right? Not a great name.
Very clever.
Sorry. Yeah.
The once the two companies were merged and we came together, we ended up starting with about 160,000 worksite employees between the two. And then we looked at the profitability of all the businesses, and we ended up shedding 80,000 of the 160,000. And we took the company down, and then we had to bring it all the way back up again. So, and then we made additional 12 acquisitions throughout the 7 or 8 years I was at Trinet as well. And we went public as well on the New York.
Can I ask
you guys took out some pretty large companies, though, right? I mean, in some of your acquisitions.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to say about the culture thing, and I hope to never work for a big company. I just want to be rich and famous and die on my private plane in a cocaine-fueled. But you said that you combining cultures of two different companies, right? And that's difficult. But like, how do you tell? Like, culture is culture, kind of. How do you have to tell certain employees to act a different way now? Like, how does that work?
In my opinion, for me, it was the culture started with me. I had an entire downline of managers below me and then sales reps, about 70, 80 people. So while the company is building this culture, they look at me as the company. I'm their company to them. So how I behave, how I act really is what made the difference. So since I really enjoyed Insperity's culture, and I loved how they had an incredible amount of respect for every employee, and they were grateful and appreciative, and gratitude was a real big thing before it was famous like it is today. So I used those techniques with my staff and the people that I've worked with very closely. And then I wasn't always right. I mean, if someone had the best idea, won. I just wanted the best idea to win so we can make the most amount of money with a lot of velocity. Fastest path to cash is what I call it, with the least amount of effort.
Fastest path to cash. Selling out to the Saudis usually helps.
But I do want to tell you one story, how I heard about the business. I was an entrepreneur. I owned 3 companies in 3 different countries in 3 different industries prior to coming into the PEO world. And one of my companies was here in Chicago, and a sales rep walked into my warehouse office one day and said, "Hey, can I pitch this product?" And it was Administaff. And I looked at him and I said, "Well, you just covered everything I hate about being a business owner." And I kicked him out. He goes, "You're not even going to consider it?" I said, "No, it's too good to be true. Why would I even waste my time looking at this? I don't want to be disappointed because I really want this product." Right. So about a year later, he kept on knocking at my door, kept on stopping by, and I finally decided to take the leap and buy the Administaff for my company. And it changed the entire culture. They taught me how to be a better leader, better owner. I underpaid my people. We did surveys to figure out how I need to give them an increase. We did a matching 401k, major medical, and it changed my entire business. And that's when I became a fan and said, I have to jump into this industry. It's going to be the next big thing. I'm in the beginning of the curve. And I was right. It was the right time to get into that business.
Yeah, you really did. And one thing I'll say about Rick, in my experience, is that, well, I mean, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I know like everywhere he's ever been, obviously he didn't need me at Trinet, and I didn't know him at Insperity or at Administaff, whatever. But the other PEO that he helped build, which we'll get into in a little bit, I remember you went there, called me, and like we just started. I've always had a relationship with him where if he goes somewhere, we just do business with him because he's a good
Yeah.
guy. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to worry about it. Like if he's there, he'll take whatever the issue is. He'll take care of it. I don't hear about it, right? But anyway, I'm sorry. Go on. I don't want to.
No, that's right.
I want
right.
you to talk about some of the acquisitions and stuff you're trying to.
Do you have any idea where he's working now?
I don't. I wish he would tell us.
Well, now I'm working for the best PEO I've ever worked for. in my life.
Yeah, that's right,
Hey,
baby.
there it is.
Yeah.
But what do you? I have a question for you. So before you get into that, what was kind of the thinking? Because I know, like when you were at TriNet, man, you guys went on a tear. Like
We did.
I would say, I don't think anybody will ever, maybe other than Venture. I'm joking. No disrespect to Venture, but I haven't seen anyone go on a tear the way you guys did. Like you bought SOI, you bought Ambrose. I mean, you were taking down the behemoths. Anyway, go ahead.
We were. Yeah, those acquisitions really doubled and tripled the size of the company. Again, they were 40,000 before the acquisition of Jevity. Then they were 160,000. We took it down to 80,000 just to clean up the book of business. And then they grew it to, I think their earnings release was a couple days ago. I think they're at like 325,000 worksite employees. A good portion of that was through acquisitions. Obviously, SOI was a pretty large acquisition, and that got them back into the blue collar PEO market, which was not something they were really attracted to yet. And then they bought Ambrose, which is a high-end white-collar, white-glove PEO, really in the financial community in Manhattan, I believe.
Yeah, they were. So Ambrose, as far as for me, was the, I would say even now, is the standard. Like they had the best medical plans, they had the best technology. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about this. Someone will correct me, I'm sure. But I think all of their salespeople had to have MBAs.
That is right. I heard that too. Yeah, I ended up working with the Ambrose guys for a while. Great people.
Everybody over there was top notch. I know
Class
Eric
act.
Foodham, a good friend of mine. He was from there. He's a good guy. But yeah, everybody was great. All those guys were great.
Yeah, and they knew their niche. They didn't take anything and everything. It was hedge funds, financial institutions, VCs, and that was it. They didn't want to be everything to everybody.
Rick, what did you want to be when you were a kid growing up? I think we all under no circumstance did I think I'd be doing what I'm doing right now. And I don't think
Being famous on LinkedIn? Come on.
Well, I grew up pretty, poor. I'm a first generation American. My parents are immigrants from Sicily.
Oh.
So, we didn't really have any money growing up. So my goal, I remember as a kid, when I got old enough to start having jobs and paper routes and all that, I was super excited about that. I didn't do one paper route. I did 3 paper routes.
Oh, you're an industrious young man.
Yeah, exactly. It was always about the money since we didn't have any. And I wanted to make sure I was able to take care of my parents, as I got older, and which ended up happening, thank God. So I was very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But I used to say to myself, boy, if I can make $50,000, I'm going to be the happiest, grateful person in the world. Then I made 50. And I'm like, if I could make 75,000, and then the number just kept on going up and up and up.
Right.
And because I was so focused on achieving those objectives, the process and the companies and all the places I worked with were secondary to my primary goal. So I was just able to push through all the nuances and things you got to push through to get there. I was so driven.
This is why, like the arc of somebody starts a company, then the next generation builds on it, and the third generation collapses it, sort of like the Trumps.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I don't understand why we don't want more immigrants. The children of immigrants are very industrious, generally
very
speaking.
creative. Yeah.
And so your parents lived in Sicily. Why would they leave Sicily? Where did they come to in the United States?
Let's see. My mom had, 2 of them came to Chicago. 1 went to Cleveland, which is where I'm from. And then 2 went to Toronto, and 1 stayed there. So she had 7 brothers and sisters.
Oh, so when I shit on Ohio, that was I just stabbed in the dark, but I nailed it.
That's okay. I got a few people going to be knocking on your door in a minute.
The dictator's knocking on Robbins.
I am Italian, so.
I told him he's
asking
a
for a
spy.
friend.
Something about
He's
Italians
a
from
spy.
Ohio doesn't scare me though. Like is Chicago Italians, yes. Ohio.
Yeah.
No. So have you been back to Sicily?
Oh yeah, many times. We still have a family house there that when everybody passed away, the family kind of keeps it as a vacation destination.
I was going to say it's a vacation destination, and Ohio isn't. So if I lived where
No,
people
it's
vacationed,
not.
I think I'd just hang out, eat some pasta.
So you don't have to
No,
ask,
here.
Rick. Yes, we'll go. You don't have to ask. We'll go.
There you go.
So I have a question. So okay, so all right, so the whole thing with TriNet, you left TriNet, and then the reason I bring this up is because I know you when you went over to Elements. I know you and I spoke, and that's when we started doing business, right?
That's right.
And they were, and listen, we both, I'm sure, can't say enough nice things about Rick Hamill, but I didn't know who Rick Hamill was.
Yep.
And now he's writing books and so forth. God bless him. Atlas has really taken off. But I guess what has always fascinated me about you, I don't want to get off on a tangent here, has always been that everywhere you have gone has blown up in the most positive sense, right? I mean like blew up, because in the industry I came from, blow up is not good.
No.
In PO, it's good. But it's just interesting because most people will have, will have one success, and then they kind of chase that success the rest of their career, right? You had a lot of success in Ministaff and Sparity. You had tremendous success, I would say, career-worthy. Yeah, I was at TriNet, and then even looking at Elements, like you put them on the map, and then I know Rick has grown it to, Atlas and all these other things. So, yeah, just tell us a little more. I mean, it's incredible trajectory.
Elements was my first foray into the international PEO world, which they call their record. So there was a bit of a learning curve for me there. Rick also had a domestic PEO that that we would utilize as well. But we almost tripled the size of the company in that 18 months I was there. And we had a lot of learning to do. There was everybody in the business in Rick's office was eager, thrilled, excited to do it, but they didn't have a lot of the history and the background and the knowledge of the industry. And that's what I was able to bring to the table is, methods, processes, how does an offsite HR department really work? What types of things do you need to provide? What frequency of communication with the client, et cetera, payroll processing, so I had my hands in just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You're very ambitious. Does that get exhausting?
It does. So I took like 3 or 4 years off actually before I came.
I remember, when right after you guys went out. Yeah.
Was it Europeans take 3 or 4 years off? Americans, we can't do that. How did you take 3 or 4 years off?
I got to be honest. Can I just say this before he answers? I said to myself when you guys exited from Element, I said he's done. I'm glad you're not, but I said because I said there's just no way. If this guy comes back and has a 4, it's impossible.
No, it's true.
It's like Tom Brady kind of shit, Eric. It's like Tom Brady level stuff. Go on.
No,
when you take
this show exhausts me, and it's fucking. So I can't imagine. Like, go ahead. What?
We when you take a couple of companies public and you get to share in some of the benefits of that, so that was helpful in my ability to take the time off. And
so you're saying you were just swimming in cash, and you're like, "Fuck it, I'm not working for 4 years."
He was like Scrooge McDuck.
You have a silo full of gold coins? Yeah.
I wish.
What did you do in those 3 or 4 years? Did you learn a language? Did you pick up fencing? What'd you do?
No, I just kind of vacationed all over the world. I just, I was gone probably 9 months out of the year, just traveling, exploring every country, cities.
I didn't hear from him for 3 years. He told me goodbye, and then he came back and said, "Hey, I'm back." And I said,
"That's right."
Man. Yeah.
Are you married?
Good for you, buddy. Good for you.
No, I'm not married.
So best case scenario, not married, no kids, you're rich, you're traveling the globe. Oh,
do you see? Do you see why I idolize this man? Do you see?
Well, now, yes.
Is it starting to click? Is everything coming together?
Now it's you buried the lead. It should have been Rick figures out how to travel the globe for 4 years, and then everybody would have been like, "Holy shit!"
I do have a 13-year-old nephew I take care of. He's a handful, that's for sure.
Oh, and that's a big responsibility. That's like going, I have a hamster. Okay.
I see him every 6 or 7 hours when he's done playing his games on the computer so he can get something to eat.
Oh, Rick. Wow. Now that's, woo, look at you. When's the next 4-year vacation, you think? Is it coming up?
No, I'm hunkered down here. I mean, when Rob Wilson is the CEO of our company, along with his brother, Scott Wilson, and this is a great company. They have it's a 3rd generation family owned business that their father started. They started an insurance brokerage firm initially, and then they opened up, that was 47 years ago. And 27 years ago, they opened up the PEO, which is the Employco division, which is what I'm working for. Nice. And they have silently but quietly have grown this company. We're almost at 40,000 worksite employees. Yeah, exactly. And no one's ever heard of us.
I was going to say, I know. Well, I've heard of you because it's splattered all over behind you, but
but we've done a really good job. We bring on the right clients that are the right fit, that we know we could service well.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to have a perfect customer service. We don't have 800 numbers. We don't have call centers. I know everybody says this kind of stuff, but there's
he's being for real. Yeah, he's telling me just straight.
It must be tough to maintain a culture with 40,000 people, right?
Yes, the bigger it gets, the harder it is, right? So you have to have a good leadership team that you're constantly investing in. Like, that's the one thing I loved about Insperity. They invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in training me, giving me the skill sets that I needed to be successful in the job, and then supporting it. I'd probably spend 2 months a year in leadership development at Insperity. That's how much.
Yeah, I'll say this about Insperity, right? And you obviously spent significantly more time there than I did, but I've never worked at a company. I worked for some pretty big investment bank, or I worked for a pretty big investment bank. And they kind of were like, here's your computer, get to work, right? I mean, they trained you on things, but like Insperity broke everything down. I remember taking a class at Insperity on how to talk.
Yeah.
Are you padding? Is it, nah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they just break apart everything, like every objection. And it's not even about selling. It's about figuring out, I remember, when I got there, they were like, it's about asking questions. We don't know if this is going to fit.
That's
right. And you just learn. I will say this, in my opinion, right, they have one of the best training programs, or I felt like they did when I went through it, of anybody. I don't know what it's like now. I can only imagine it's gotten much better.
No,
if that's possible.
There, they were the most expensive in the marketplace, and they still are today. I mean, their earnings release was yesterday. They're averaging $267 per employee per month. That's a premium. Most PEOs are at that $125, $160, $180 mark. So how does Insperity get it? So 100% of the deals at Insperity were a significant investment. If you weren't a well-trained sales consultant who knew how to ask questions, uncover challenges and needs, and then tie them back in, plant the seeds, and then at the proposal call, you're kind of growing that crop, and you're making sure you're talking to the customer and explaining everything. So you had to have a lot of skill to sell a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 investment or more. Whereas today, I mean, when I was there, it was $385 per employee per month. Now they're down to $267.
When I was there, it was I think it was $320 was the average or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know what I found, right? Not to go off on an Insperity tangent here, but is that once you really went through the full cycle, once you explained how everything works and you showed them, and went through everything, oftentimes, I won't lie, it was an investment, but it was a no-brainer. It's common sense investment. Like, you cannot hire these people.
That's right.
You cannot do these things for what we're going to charge you. It's impossible. You're going to get an employment lawyer? Come on, right?
We tied it all together. We did hard cost analysis, soft cost analysis, opportunity cost analysis, all that kind of stuff to justify our product. And it worked. I mean, it really worked. Now, in today's market, it's much different, right?
Yeah.
So in today's market, I feel the velocity of a sale has been compressed significantly. We were doing 3 to 5 sales calls per prospect just to get a deal. Now that's condensed down to 2 to 3, at best 3 if you're lucky.
I mean, we have people come on our site and do the RFP without ever speaking to them.
That's right. So everything's changed. The concept of building value is a little bit more difficult today, but that's another thing to do.
I've tried to commoditize it.
Of course.
People used to say to me all the time, what's your goal in PO? And I said to commoditize it. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not, but it seems to be working. For me anyway. And I know that's not good for the POs, but
I understand.
We only have a minute and a half left before LinkedIn cuts us off. So, Rick, do you want to do one last plug for where is it again?
So I'm in
What's
Chicago,
the name of your
Illinois.
company?
Employco USA, the power to compete.
Nice.
We would love to hear from folks. We do a great job. I'm super proud to be working here. And, if you saw Insperity grow and you saw TriNet grow, well, keep your eyes peeled because this one's going to grow.
Yeah.
Rick, let me ask you a question really quick. What would you say, for people that are watching, for the 200,000 that are tuning in hourly, what would you say set you apart from the other POs besides the usual stuff, service and all that stuff? Like, what's some stuff that you can do other people can't do?
Our flexibility. You don't have to buy the whole thing. You can buy pieces, parts, depending upon what you need. So we're able to break it down. Our integrity. We think of when you become a client of ours, we move over to the same side of the table and we're growing your company together. And we really believe that. So there's a difference. There's one thing to say it. There's another thing to actually do it. Much harder to do, but that's what we do well. we really partner with our customers, and we have over a 96% retention rate. So that says a lot about
That's really good. Yeah.
successfully. Yeah.
All right. So all our viewers, head on over to Employco. Ricky needs a new 4-year vacation. So
Yes,
And he needs to take us with him. He's going to take us with him.
yeah. All right.
Thank you
Well,
for having me. We appreciate it.
thank you for
Thank
being
you for
on the show. We will be back tomorrow with no guest, unfortunately, but it is going to be great. Trust me. Goodbye, America. Till tomorrow. Hold on.